Hey everyone, I have a special treat for you today. Do you want to listen to somebody that's actually in the trenches of real estate prospecting, cold calling, door knocking, actually getting deals done that move their family out of another location into another location to prove that their systems work? Well, I have just a person, James Festini, and we're going to talk to him right now. Hey everyone, this is William May with James Festini. Now, let me set it up for you. Took me some notes. All right, he conquered Lake Elsinore. He created his own podcast, The First Day in Real Estate. Took his family, uprooted them out of Lake Elsinore that he conquered in real estate, and took them to Yoba Linda to prove that his tactics and training for the first day in real estate will work. And now he's conquering Yoba Linda. He's a husband, a father, an agent, a top producer, coach, trainer, author, mentor, and happy Veterans Day. He's a veteran. Let's welcome James Beast Mode Festini.
And the crowd goes wild. How you doing, man? I don't know if you also mentioned that I was a guest at your wedding.
Oh yeah,
Some accolades, yeah.
Guest at my wedding, and I had my pastor wear the Google glasses to record the ceremony. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
In this video, I'll probably put a picture up with you and my wife. You know what? That's like one of the better pictures out of all the wedding pictures. I'm like, hey, me and my wife picture's okay, but James Festini and my wife looks better. And I took the picture, so I'm a fanatic at taking good pictures. So
very cool.
So what's up, good sir? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm just exiting a listing appointment. As like you mentioned, man, I've been doing this since 1993, and my primary source of business has always been telemarketing. I mean, I've reinvented myself. I know I mastered the branding and the real estate market in Lake Elsinore, California. That's Inland Empire, I guess would be the best way to describe it. It's just right of Orange County on the map.
Down the street from LA and Torrance. You're in my backyard.
An hour and no traffic. Yeah, it's Southern California, but there's in the Inland Empire was I moved out there. Well, let me backtrack. I started in 1993. My parents were also real estate agents, so when I came into the business, I actually probably started about 1992 because they brought me on to do just dialing.
I thought it was 91, but what do I know?
92, 91, man, it's all blending now. I would say right around that time because I just gotten out of I got out of the high school and then I joined the Army, got out of the Army, and so I got my license in 93 and I was working with my parents right around 92, late 91, 92, and the beginning of that was just telephone prospecting. I mean, the technology was DOS. Top Producer had just launched in a DOS format. Windows 95 wasn't even there. Even Windows, I don't think, was even existing right around that time. And I embraced the technology, so I immediately lashed myself on Top Producer. And believe it or not, they have not progressed in their technology since then. Just a jab at Top Producer.
They didn't listen to your suggestions.
They're still in DOS. They still use DOS. But anyhow, they I was on their team. It was my brother, my sister, my father, my mother, and my other sister, and we were known as the Festini Five. That lasted probably, there's one photograph, and then that lasted probably about 6 months before I got my license. I met a girl who wanted me to do more with my life instead of just hanging out and having a good time and just telemarketing. And so I broke away from the family. It was a peaceful breakaway, but it was more where...
Was that Miss Nicole?
No, it was another one.
Oh, okay.
The other one.
Hi, Nicole.
She probably won't watch it now. I'm not even going to tell her about it. The way that worked was back then you would have expireds, and when you had the expireds back then, you would grab the city, you print it out. There was no do not call list, and I remember there was a time where my brother and my sister, they would have a certain region, I would have certain cities, and I would watch my siblings not calling them, and I wanted to call them. So that was kind of like the turning point where I was like, man, you guys are not even doing any of the work here. And
just leaving money on the table,
they were
basically.
leaving money on the table, and quite honestly, they were always better telemarketers. Both of them were very good on the phones. You know, I had to do a lot of work to get my business. And for them, you know, they pick up the phone and they set an appointment where, you know, I'd do the same thing and I couldn't. You know, it's just it's always been an uphill battle for me to. So that's why I became, you know, the agent that I am, where it's just pure sheer numbers. So when I broke away from them, I was in a beach city, and then I moved to LA for a little while in La Mirada, which isn't really LA. I moved to La Mirada and, you know, got some dominance there, but it was always cold calling, not even door knocking. I mean, I didn't start door knocking until about 2011. It was just purely telephone prospecting, just pure numbers. Even when I first started off with my parents, I would have the phone list, and then even when I broke away, it was on a telephone. By the time I broke away, it was on a computer, but I would have 2 telephone lists, and I would have 2 Plantronics headsets, and I would, you know, single line dial on each one, and break the 2 headsets apart, and I would manipulate the mute button. And
back in the day, they call it double fisting.
I call it double fisting. So as far as I'm concerned, unless someone can backdate double fisting before 1992, I started double fisting, unless someone can document that. And I actually have a picture of my son as a baby. So that would be 2003, about 2003.
Send it to me.
With my double headset on, because my brother and I we had this crazy idea of like inventing the double fisting headset. So I'm documenting that. I invented double fist. But anyhow, doing the double fisting and double dialing, and right around 2003, you know, broke up with my other wife, broke off, got married, and it was still just purely cold calling, never any past clients, never any sphere of influence. And you know, I blame my parents for that. They were not, although they did the farming, they did the bus benches, a lot of what I learned from them, they had a massive library of audiobooks, you know, Zig Ziglar, Robbins, Mike Ferry, Tom Hopkins. And so they were, you know, junkies for the web seminars, and they dragged me along to a lot of them, Top Gun with ERA. And when that evolved, I became attached to the self-help and motivational stuff. But they never, from what I gathered, they never did the past client sphere of influence format where they would keep in touch with their clients. I think they did the love them and leave them. They provided good service, but it was, I don't remember they had a database. And I recall one time I was at a seminar years after I broke away from the parents, and some lady sat next to me. She goes, "Oh, you're Festini's kid." I'm like, yeah, you know my parents. They're like, yeah, I know your parents. Oh, you must have a great database of past clients' sphere of influence. I'm like, no, no, I don't get that record. But,
no, not me.
Yeah, when I moved to Lake Elsinore, it became different. I moved there. Now I was a homeowner. I had kids. I was showing up to the schools, you know, volunteering. And it went from like not wearing ties and suits except for a photo shoot or a presentation to now it was a suit and a tie all the time, because now I was going to start running in. It becomes
a centerpiece. You know, you go into your son's game, they see you in the suit and tie. I was like, oh, just came off work? Yes, I have. Well, what kind of work you do? Glad you asked. I'm a real estate agent.
Exactly. And it just became like I was grown up now and I can dress the part. And then I started sponsoring, you know, doing a little bit of sponsoring and donating to the local charities. And then, again, just purely door knocking and cold calling. But there was a couple good like rallies where I listed a bunch of stuff in the town of Lake Elsinore. And to be quite honest, it was a very small town, and all you had to do was show up in a suit and you're already the top agent. I mean, it was very like backwards. No one really hustled. You know, I was coming from a mentality of Orange County where the sharks and everyone, you know, fights, you know, and over there it's just like, man, I just show up in a suit and I'm professional. And so I started really in a very short, I'd say within about 2 years, I was the #1 agent in that town. So from 2003.
Now, also too, when you're in Lake Elsinore and you go into your kids' events and you cold calling everything, you're also branding yourself because you used to have a Hummer that was wrapped, correct?
Yeah, part of the thing that helped launch me was that I had a Hummer and I wrapped it, and that was before wrapping was a thing. So it cost me about $6,000.
Hey, your audio went out.
A call right now.
There we go.
And it said nuisance call too. Damn telemarketers. I give them a hard time, man. I have no mercy for my people. Anyhow, so
I use them as practice.
Yeah, no, I don't have time for that. But anyhow, the Hummer, and I lived directly in front of an elementary school. So when I wrapped that Hummer and I was directly in front of the elementary school, I mean, it was like the perfect
free advertisement for all the parents.
Free advertising. Everybody knew me within a very short amount of time. And so right around that time, well, 2003, 2004, 2005, greatest years ever. I mean, I think that was the year that I crossed the 500,000, like walking into the tax guy, handing him my tax statement and
right.
500 G's in real estate. And then the market took a dump. And fortunately, right before it started shifting, I invested time and money into learning the REO market and foreclosures and all that stuff. Did a ton of EPOs and kept my head above water from, I say 09 was the time that really hit the fan, from 09 to about 12. And then I would say I personally hit rock bottom at 12 because I was just so burned out, man. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of EPOs. My wife is also, she's my TC in my system, but I remember there was a couple weeks where I would spend, from the crack of dawn till sunset, driving around taking photos of BPOs, photos of properties, and emailing them to her, and she was behind the computer doing BPOs. I'm telling you, hundreds of BPOs a week just to keep your head above water. It was the bottom, man. And when that turned around, I remember, the moment where I was like, this is enough. And short sales were there. If I had it all over to do again, I would have focused heavily on short sales and door knocking for the short sales, and I would have survived a lot better. But I don't know what happened. It just, you screw up, things happen. And
well, we learn from our mistakes. It's all a learning thing. So that next time, if the market comes back around, you're going to have money in the bank, and also you're going to be in the position to take advantage of the downturn because you learn from your past mistakes.
In the downturn in Inland Empire, that was one of the hardest hit in the nation. I don't think North Orange County, Yorba Linda felt it as bad. Maybe the prices dropped, but I don't think there were people, I just have a feeling it was less affected. So yeah, as soon as that turned around, I remember the moment where I said, okay, I'm going to start door knocking. I felt like I had to do something. Like when you get to rock bottom and you're in sales, there's not many things you can do to physically feel.
You have to climb out of the ditch. You have to do something.
Physically climb out. And I got up and started door knocking, and I shit you not, within like 10 doors, I had someone open up the door and say, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm talking to the bank to foreclosure. And I negotiated for the short sale, and that was it, man. I was immediately hooked on door knocking. And from that day forward, like I said, 2012, and never looked back. And from that point on, I've just been hustling it. And from 2012 to 2016, full recovery mode, doing great in real estate. And 2016, I just saw a window of opportunity where I could pick up and move. So I took my whole family, a career where like I'm the #1 agent in the town, picked up, sold my house.
Let me spotlight that for a second. Now, I'm in your backyard. So when I see other people on YouTube, Facebook Live, talking all this nonsense, they're doing 30 or 40 deals a year and they're making so much money, I could look on the MLS and tell them that, hey, you're full of blickety blank. So I want everybody to know, for the last few years that I could see on the MLS, you've been averaging anywhere from like 35 to 50 transactions. Is that true?
Yeah. Which is a highlight. Hey man, if you guys are going to listen to people, check the stripes, right. You got to check them out. And yeah,
now tell them your Beast Mode Facebook page, so that way if they want to check you out live prospecting.
That's a moving target. Right now, the best way to reach me is going to be through YouTube. I'm making to grow the subscribership. I'm doing a lot of live everything that I've been doing, again, going back to the 2016 transition, I picked up, sold my house, moved everything. I moved to North Orange County, got a place over here. And I've done nothing but like literally horse blinders, zero tolerance for like complacency.
I remember that conversation we had that December. And
Yeah.
you was like, I'm going to just cut all my ties to Lake Elsinore, and I'm just going to just focus on Yo Belinda. And I was like, hey, man, if somebody calls you from Lake Elsinore, don't like say no. Keep it, because it's going to take you a minute to get your traction. And so you was like, no, I'm going to cut my bolts at first. But then, you know, when people start calling you, you was like, oh, I'm going to keep the lines of communication open, because you still get a ton of business and you haven't been there for a year and a half, right?
I still got listings. Like I go Monday night where some, you know, people are still calling me a year and a half later going, hey, James, I see your signs everywhere. I know you're the top guy, such and such, you referred me or whatever. I call that my sphere of recognition, where it's not
right.
But it's people who know me. Like, yeah, man, I hear you're the top guy. I'd like to sell my house. I'm like, okay, no problem. Yeah, it's a 45-minute drive in one direction, but it has definitely financed.
Now, how many agents is going to be getting those come list me calls? Because you had to lay down the foundation, you had to hustle, you had to do the hours of cold calling and the hours of door knocking and interacting with the public during different events to establish that kind of rapport, to get those people to give you a call and say, hey, James, you're the best, come list me.
Yeah. It's now I know I'm losing traction. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of real estate agents who've done marketing campaigns around James Festini's gone, and like done mailers where they're like, if you're thinking of selling the house, the Italian's gone. He's gone. You know, maybe a bullhorn and like, you know, confetti. Seriously.
But it wouldn't be that much just to send out like in your Lake Elsinore farm like a postcard every month or once every quarter, so that way you can stay in front of them with a minimum cost. You know, you could do it once a quarter, and they could still see your face, and that keeps you in front of mind.
When I land a decent one in that neck of the woods, I do drop maybe about $500 in plopping down in the neighborhood. The beautiful thing about this time around is that the social media. I had so many. I'm very heavily invested in like Facebook. So when anyone, you know, whenever I'm a Facebook
junkie.
Yeah, Facebook, I was gonna say social butterfly or whore. Where if someone, you know, if I see a lead or a possibility or a past sale or somehow a connection, I added people. So I have a heavy network inside of Facebook, but I don't leverage Facebook. And if you follow me on Facebook, it's very rare. I'd say 1 out of maybe 20 posts on Facebook are, the real estate market's fantastic if you're thinking of buying or selling. And that's what a lot of people, you know, a lot of real estate agents do, is they're just like, now's the time to buy or sell. Here's my clever thing. And for me, I think the social media is social, that you just try to live a very interesting and exciting life and inject real estate and like always have your brand in the shirt, so that when they see you having a good time somewhere, there's that subliminal message of like, he's in a suit and a tie and he's doing a keg stand. I hope it's working. You know what I mean? It's one
of my buddies on Facebook, and he says I can always know if you're driving that bus. I'm like, how you can always know? Because if you're not driving that school bus, you're in a suit and tie. If I see you on Facebook and you got your tie's not on, you're in the dress shirt and slacks or something like that, you don't have the tie on, I know you probably drove and you came back to the office. You know, so I was like, oh, you're very observant.
Yeah, people identify that. So,
but let me ask my first question. So with all your experience and your hustling, what would you tell a new agent just coming into the business right now?
There's going to be 2 paths. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by. There's going to be 2 paths you're going to be able to take. You're going to either, to get business, it's all about the people who, paycheck. I'm trying to like simplify it to like the basics.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You want a paycheck.
Right.
Who's going to pay you? A person who owns a home or wants to buy a home. Now we're at the person level. Now the person, how do you find the person? There are two ways you're going to find that person. They're going to come to you, or you're going to go to them.
Right.
To get them to come to you, you either have to know a lot of people and be very good at knowing a lot of people and hi, hey, ho, hey, and not look like a total tool when you do it.
Right.
Or you pay a money to get them to come to you.
Right.
So,
pay for leads.
Pay for leads. The person is a lead, and you either get them or they come to you, right? So if you're going to go out and if you're going to pay for them, you're going to buy into online internet stuff, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Facebook marketing, mailers, door hangers, bus benches, and all of these things. They have different degrees of effectiveness for how are you going to retrieve. Notepads. Propaganda is what I call it all. It's all to try to get name recognition.
Right.
And the degrees of what these things are in effectiveness are going to be deemed short-term and long-term. So if you need a paycheck, if you need money now, if you go into the business and you don't have any money, you can, but you know a lot of people, go on to Facebook, social media, or however you know these people and say, I got a real estate license, anyone thinking of buying and selling. And then that's it. You've exhausted your like one time where you can maybe call your friends and family and maybe your mom's interested and you sell her house. And then that's it. You got one paycheck. So you've got to kind of set your expectations as to how many deals you want to do. A lot of people come into the business. I don't know where you first got in. Like where did you get this crazy idea you want to be an agent? Where'd you get it?
Well, I was in high school, and one night I was up late, and I saw a Carlton Sheets thing, and I was like, "Oh, I want to be a real estate agent." But when I got into real estate agent, it was different. But that what gave me the bug back in high school 30 years ago, 1987.
So Carlton Sheets is investing. So I think a lot of people also maybe they go in. Investing's a whole nother animal.
Right.
That's like where you.
But when you're out of it, you don't know. See, that's why like when I was like saw him, I was like, oh well, being in real estate, you buy these houses, you clean them up, you tear them down and remodel them and resell them, or you flip them, and that's real estate. But there's a lot more to it than that, like you said.
I think to make it relatable, to understand the point of contact, the tipping point where you would want to get your license. Let's just use television, for example. You either want to flip these houses, the twin brothers, the property brothers, where they buy and like take a hammer and flip the houses. That's one avenue.
Right.
Or $1 million listing, New York, LA, Miami.
Right.
Those are the two avenues. So the Carlton Sheets is the investing side. And that's like Property Brothers and Flip My House and all that stuff where they tear down houses. They do cross over a little bit, but the other one is the salesperson, the $1 million listing.
Right.
I think that's the only show that really like identifies.
Talks about agents, like follows agents around or something like that.
So a lot of times people go into the business maybe from that impression, or maybe they see a YouTube video or something where people really got this lifestyle. And when you go into the business, you have an expectation as to how much you think you're going to make, how long it takes. Maybe you read a book, Crush It, or 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and you think, I'll be a real estate agent. So you have these expectations, and suddenly you think in your head maybe a millionaire, $1 million is like the goal. But the reality is that is such fantasy land. The majority of agents don't make that. You're lucky you make $100,000 your first year. You're lucky you make anything year. And so you have to understand your expectations. What you do is you look in your immediate marketplace and see who's the top dog there, and then identify what they're doing to going back to the beginning and saying, where did they get that person, that name, or the number?
Right.
99.9% of the time, that number one agent is also mailing out letters all the time. You see them online all the time. So they're spending at minimum $5,000 a month on getting their face in the public eye.
I know some agents in our office is spending about $5,000, $10,000 a month on their farm.
That's
you
minimum.
know. Yeah.
I mean, to have the online presence in truly a Zillow, Realtor.com.
And they don't cold call prospect. They don't knock doors. We have one agent that knocks doors and does, you know, a lot of marketing. But,
Yeah.
you know, other than that, the majority of the prospectors that I know, they just write a check and just use EDM.
Every door direct.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're
it. Every door
mailing
direct.
they're buying the business. And then that comes back to the other avenue. How do you go out and get them? You either pay money to expose your face, but even that, there's no guarantee that if you go into Trulia or Realtor.com or Zillow and you hand them $50,000, there is no guarantee that you will get a phone call from someone within the next 60 days that says, I saw your face on the internet. I would like you to sell my house. Come on over. It doesn't happen, you know?
Right.
It's a very long shot. It happens. If you generate the name and the number, what happens is you'll get a name and a number, and then they'll come in and you'll say, oh, Joe Blow is interested in selling his house. Then you got to have the skills and the guts. I mean, if you're looking for them to land in your lap, you still have to have a little bit of cojones to pick up the phone and go, hi, yeah, I see your name and the number. You want to sell your house? Okay, can I come over? I mean, you got to have some talents there, and that's where you learn. You know,
I have this one friend. He is a killer buyer's agent, and he pays for Zillow Trulia leads, and he's a monster with buyers. He probably did like 25, 30 transactions. Majority of them are running buyers around, but I'll be talking to him like 11 to 12 o'clock at night. He's like, man, I'm just so exhausted. Buyers will kill you.
Yeah. So you go out and you pay for your leads, you get your leads, you buy them, or you go earn them. So now how do you earn them? Cold calling, picking up the phone, telephone prospecting, or going door to door, knocking on the door and seeing if they're interested.
So what is your cold calling system? Oh, back up right quick. Just for you agents out there that's thinking about buying leads from Zillow and Trulia, I just want you to know, once you buy those leads, they're not exclusive to you. All the other agents pay Zillow and Trulia, they got those leads too. So my buddy tells me he calls them as soon as he gets them, 30 seconds to 2 minutes at the most, and try to call that client, because other agents going to call them anywhere from 5 to hour, 2 hours, or a day later. They're going to get bombarded with calls. So just so you know, with
all leads, with every lead, speed, you really have to be fast. Buyer lead, seller lead, whatever. You should never be reluctant to reach out to them immediately. Worst thing that happens is they say, hey man, you're bugging me, go to hell. Fine. Then you know where you stand. Right. But whether you buy the leads or you generate them from, door knocking, and they say, yeah, they're interested, don't hesitate to get them on a mailing campaign, get them on a follow-up campaign.
So what is your cold call system when you're calling?
Well, I mean, I use Mojo. Mojo dials the numbers for me and connects me with a live individual who on the phone, and I ask them if they're interested in selling their house. And if they say yes, well, they never say yes. Let's just put it that way. They never say yes. If they say yes, they're either for sale.
99% of the time, they're going to say no.
99%. Yeah, very, very, very good. And then what you're doing is you're listening for
I know, because you taught me.
They're always going to say no. Again, if they say yes, they're screwing around. They're like messing around to see what you say. No one ever says yes. If they say yes, they're either for sale or they're messing with you.
I had 2 people call me back from me leaving a voicemail, and they said, yes, I'm thinking about selling, and I listed them. That's from leaving a voicemail. But
you can leave.
It's very, very seldom.
Very seldom they say yes. But they do say no in different ways. And so if they say no and you hear a hesitation in their voice, or something in the way they say no makes you feel like something wasn't right in the way they said no, then you follow up with another question. Do you think maybe later down the road you'd reconsider? You detach it from being an immediate close and a salesperson out of the blue looking for something now to, like, you think maybe later off in the future, far
you just dig in a little bit deeper
You go in for the dig and they go, well, maybe. And then you ask them, do you know what it's worth? And they say, no, I don't have any idea. Would it be all right if I, send you some comps? There's a path for generating the leads, and then effective follow-up. You put them in a database and generate hundreds of those people, so that as you build that core database of people who've hesitated or said maybe, or have given you a hint that they're a lead, you go back on those numbers and build that database, so that there's a time where you'll have 10, 15, 20 people to call that day who said maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 6 months ago, maybe 6 months ago.
So how you set up the callbacks for those people for the follow-up, and what CRM do you use?
I use Mojo for everything.
Okay.
I schedule the callbacks inside of Mojo, and you schedule in your calendar. Like right now, in the year and a half or so that I've been in the city of Yorba Linda and started all over again, right now have 170 people that I need to talk to today.
Right now.
That have told me maybe over the last year and a half that there's also this phenomenon, and I have a YouTube video about it. It's called the disappearing lead phenomenon, where you call them, they say, yeah, I'm interested, call me back in 6 months. And in 6 months, they never answer the phone again. They're not listed, they're not for sale, they just don't pick up anymore.
Right.
You have that, and so it stockpiles. And as you continue to generate more leads, the list gets bigger, and you're constantly chipping away at this list that keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you never stop generating leads. If you have a goal of generating, my goal is 3 leads a day. I want to get 3 people who say maybe or no, with a maybe subtle, in a suggestion that there is something. With those 3, I take them and put them in a list. I believe that James Festini, 2017, my methods, my script, my philosophy, North Orange County, individual results may vary, is what I mean by this. That when I get that database of the people who have to call back either today or in the next 60 to 90 days or 6 months, if I get that database to 500, it's going to be fat. I mean, it's going to be like, I've got a... Because
if you get that list up to 500, through real estate law of numbers, you can usually get 10% of those 10% deals out of that.
Oh yeah. So all you got to do is get a hold of them now. Right. We're doing this, and towards the end of the year, I know January 1st, everyone inside that database is going to be pushed to January 1st, and I'm going to be pounding that list, asking them, is 2018 your year? Is 2018 your year? And they say, yep, let's set an appointment. So that's how year after year I managed to get, the majority of my listing. I mean, there's months where in January, I get 10 listings in January, 10 listings in February, and then it tapers off because I'm like building this massive volcano of people who are saying, yeah, absolutely.
Now you hear this, everybody? It's the 4th quarter. Most of your competition is going to be on vacation. He's doubling down on his follow-up. So that way, by the time everybody's wanted to do something new on the new year, that's how he's getting his listings, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Now I want to roll back in a minute. Now, I think we talked about this before, like months earlier, but when I talked to a potential client and they're interested, I'm like, hey, well, what is your email address so I could just send you my information and just a monthly update on the market. I get that information. I send them to Corfax, and I think you adopted that. Right. And the one thing I like about that is, it's like, even if they don't answer the phone, I see every time they log into Corfax and their activity. So do you still utilize that? And if so, how is it helping your business?
Let's just put it this way. You should edit that shit out of this. Like, you keep that one close to the vest. Seriously, because that is so valuable. And Real Geeks actually has a very similar software, from what I gather, that is like that, and it works beautifully. It's just, the whole thing is developing a method where you can passively drip on them. So you do it through bomb videos. Right. You do it through emails every once in a while. Push the clocks forward, push them back. Season's greetings, happy Halloween, happy Hanukkah, happy Veterans Day. You put them on an email campaign for that kind of stuff. You put them You try to get them in your Facebook or Instagram. Find them, find those people. Cross search. You can go into YouTube and you can export your email list and then go into Facebook and upload your Facebook phone, your email list into Facebook and start friending those people. Yeah, they're not really your friends, but who gives a, you know what I mean?
Right. You start building a list.
Start building the list, and you start, you keep in touch with them through mailers, old school snail mail, like stamps, a stamp and an envelope. That still works. If anything, it works better than ever because nobody gets mail anymore. We don't get mail.
Right.
I don't get. The only thing I get mail is like 1 or 2 bills, and then some random stuff. But mail is an untapped resource. Yeah, it's 50 cents a stamp. But again, with Mojo, you set up your mailer, you can print out an envelope and you can print out a letter and you can set up a campaign where you hit print. It'll spit out a letter with letterhead and it'll spit out an envelope with branding on the envelope. You stick the stamp.
I love how Mojo up their game in the last 8 to 12 months. They've been really improving.
The only reason I held on to Top Producer so long was only their letters. As soon as Mojo said we're doing letters, I was like,
bye
Top Producer. And they've been rubbing sticks together to start fire for a long time, man. They have not been doing this in so long.
So let's go in deeper onto your cold calling because you'll be double fisting now, like Mojo. So you use 2 lines with using 2 phones with 6 lines. So can you tell everybody how you set that process up and how do you make the calls with 3 lines in each ear without going mad?
What you have to see is that when you first start using a dialer like Mojo, it seems like it would be crazy to dial 3 numbers at the same time. You feel like maybe three balls are going to come and hit you at the same time. Sorry about that.
No
my wife. You think 3 balls are going to come flying at you at the same time, and that doesn't happen. You really have to understand that it doesn't work that way. So let's say you dial 100 telephone numbers.
Right.
The averages from what I see nationwide is what I would call pickup ratios. And you can see this inside of Mojo when you do your calls. There's a pickup ratio that's universal. It's about 6%. So you dial 100 numbers, 6 people will pick up the phone. But of those 6 people that pick up the phone, maybe it's only 2 or 3 that are actually people you can speak to. So now if it's a 6% ratio on your database, your cold call list, you can, it is so slow where you could literally, I've gotten up, gone to the bathroom, come back, and still nobody picked up. It's that slow.
I can testify to that. And and out here in LA, my pickup ratio is a little bit lower, 3 to 4%.
Yeah. So with a 3 to 4% ratio, I've discovered that if your pickup ratio wherever you are is 10%, then it's kind of hard to do the 2 ears because you will
almost every other person is answering the phone.
You can't have 2 conversations, but with a 6% or less, you can do it. So that it's extremely rare that someone's going to pick up the phone and pick up the phone. My script is geared so that it's super short. There's no conversation. Most agents are out there. Hi, my name is Agent with Company. I just listed a house on 123 Main Street. And I was just wondering, when you plan to move, fantastic. And if you were to move, where would you go next? Oh, go to health. That's wonderful. And if you were to move, it's just a conversation. I'm not looking to start a conversation. I'm looking. I got one question. Do you have any interest in selling your house? No, thank you very much. Have a nice day. That's it.
Right.
Now, I don't want anything else. If there's a variation on that no, then I listen and I say,
well, I don't know. So then you'll be calling them back next week.
You can do that where someone picks up the phone and says, hi, hello. Hi, my name is Agent with Company. I was calling to, and if I say calling to, and this guy picks up and says, hello, to see if you had any interest in selling your house. Yes. The other person hears me say this weird fragmented sentence that goes, you're thinking of selling your house? Because of the way the script is designed, they'll pick up the phone. I'm talking to 2 people. Yeah, the person on the left has got the crappiest intro ever, right? They don't know who I am. It's just like, you think of selling your house? No. And this one said, no. And he's, thank you very much. Have a nice. It almost.
Or it might go like, oh, what do you say? And then
they'll be like, what? By that time, this person, they say no. I say, okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. So now this person on the other ear has heard me say, you thinking of selling your house? No, thank you. But, oh, no, hold on. The one who, this is what they pick, hello. And I go, you thinking of selling your house? And they're like,
What'd you say?
I say, thank you. Huh? Sorry, my name, and for me, maybe I'm imagining this, but I'm pretending as if like I'm just some crazy dude, making a really crappy telemarketing call. And I'll go, I'm sorry, I've already said thank you to this person, hang up. And I say, okay, hi, yeah, this is Agent with Company. I was just calling to see if you had any interest in selling your house. While the right ear's going, the left ear, oh, no, sorry. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. So I pick up where I left off. It's not the best opening, but I'm convinced that in this generation, no one even hears what you say anyhow.
Right.
They get a strange call. I mean, just think about when you pick up the phone. You either know them or you don't. And so, like, when you don't know them, you're only trying to identify, what is this about? So
Right.
if you get the words, you're thinking of selling your house? I mean, I'm almost sometimes reluctant to change my script to just be like, you thinking of selling your house? Nothing. You thinking of selling your house? No.
That's when you get a higher pickup rate.
Like you talk about, yeah, a higher pickup rate. My script is already lost a lot of fat. Now, here, but yeah.
Now, so tell us about the setup. So you use Mojo. So do you have two separate computers for Mojo?
No, you can split the screen with Mojo. You just use two browsers. You need two telephones. So I've got two telephones. I have the iPhone and the Android.
Oh, okay.
The two telephones and cut the cable in half on one and the other, and then put it in each ear.
Right.
You slice it down the middle, and you dial two different numbers, and But you can do one computer.
Oh, okay. So you don't use Google Click to Call anymore? You introduced me to that.
Yeah, Skype Click to Call.
Yeah, Skype Click to Call.
I don't even think they support that anymore. No.
Yeah, I still use it. And I've been experimenting with Kixi, so that just came out, and Kixi integrates with Contactually. So if I call anybody in my Contactually, it automatically updates the fields, my database.
Yeah.
So
no, I voice over IP. I mean, using a cell phone's bad enough. Voice over IP, I just haven't had the best of luck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Low quality connection.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the drop rates or whatever. And not only that, my headphones, the way I have it set up right now, I'm in a perfect place where I'm using the original headphones that come with the manufacturer. So the iPhone, dongle and headphone, and the Note 8, just regular headphones. So I cut that, and the sound quality is
like these.
Yeah, the original ones that came with it. And then you cut them in half, and there you have your headset. And then I have an outer over the ear headphones where while I'm telephone prospecting, I'm also binge watching, Netflix or listening to music or editing video.
So everybody understand what he's talking about. He'll splice the headphones like this, and then he'll have a headset like this to put over so he can watch, listen to it, whatever.
Yeah, the audio quality, I'm very, very, very aware of what the other person picking up the phone is listening to. And so for me, I'm extremely sensitive to outside noises. I don't want them to hear my music. I don't want them to hear television. I don't want them to hear the kids. I don't want them to hear the noise fan. I don't want them to hear the gardener. And I've seen like other YouTube videos where people are telephone prospecting and they like playing Metallica. And as soon as the homeowner picks up, they turn it down. I'm like, they heard that. Game over, man. They think you're taking tequila shots in the background or something. Or
if you're in the room with other agents cold calling,
sounds like a boiler.
It's like a boiler room, and they go click.
I've only got like 5 seconds, a fraction of a second for them to form an impression. So when they pick up, they're listening, and everything that goes through their ear has to be
perfect.
Exact. Or not. That's why I put the headset on so that I can hear my music, but you can't.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. So we went over to the double setup. So tell us about your door knocking. So you have the beast mode, 100 cold calls and 100 doors. So tell us a little bit about that and go into the doors, how you have that system on attacking the doors.
My goal is to speak to my goal. My minimum is not my goal. My goal is to speak to 200 people on the telephone a day.
Okay, so it went up.
Yeah,
Actual contacts.
Actual contacts. Yeah, I thought.
Now, there's no way you can achieve that without double dialing with Mojo.
No way. Unless you got a database with 20% pickup ratio, no. And that's like 5 hours of, 4 or 5 hours of telephone prospecting, and 100 doors a day. That's the goal. I asked myself recently, can I do more? And the answer was, yeah. That's not a fair question to ask yourself, because
don't dig yourself into the grave, though.
Hey, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Working hard isn't gonna be, working hard isn't gonna kill me. Right. I don't mind. I enjoy the chase. Would I rather be, drinking margaritas on the beach, painting seashells for the tourists? Yeah, but it's not gonna happen. So otherwise, I would rather, I don't mind the work. I work hard and play hard, and it doesn't bother me working this hard. I get asked a lot, how do you maintain this level of energy? How do you not burn out? I don't. You
cycle, run marathons. You do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I can't imagine a world where there's an option. I don't want to work for IBM. I don't want to go to work for Apple. I don't want to work in I don't want to do anything else. So why wouldn't I do this to the best of my ability? Because I just don't want to do anything else. It sickens me. And I mean, it's just like an echo and a scar and trauma from that moment in 2012 where I said enough is enough, and I started doing it, and I haven't, and sometimes I'll watch like a YouTube video, or I'll get an article that comes across that like rattles me, that says, the market crash or something. I'm just like, no,
not again.
And and so I that's why I'm so extremely committed to pounding those numbers into into it, because it'll go away. And there'll come a time where I wish, man, how much, what wouldn't I give to be 2003? You know what I mean? What I wouldn't give, what I wouldn't give to be like 1995, before the do not call list. You know what I mean? and the Colker's dialer systems. There was, a double dialer then. And it was like 1997, 1998, I bought a dialer that cost me $1,500 with 2 lines. And as soon as I knew what it was made of, I bought 5 more. So it required Verizon to come out and dig a trench in my front yard to have 10 telephone lines coming out of my house. But
wow.
It was just like, I had 2 lines on my lower right ear, 2 lines on my upper right ear, 2 lines on my lower right ear, 2 lines on my upper right ear. They were the old-fashioned Plantronics with like...
Sound like a Borg. Star Trek.
Yeah, I once hit, I'm not kidding, man, I once hit 1,000 contacts in one day. 1998, 1999. Contacts by phone.
Wow. But you hear this, everybody?
Everyone
mad props.
I know the first thing people are going to say, well, yeah, but how many appointments you set?
Now, that's a good question, because you bring this up a lot of times, and me and you had this conversation a lot. You have these coaches or gurus that maybe sold some properties back in the day, or never sold any properties back in the day, and then they say, 30 contacts to a listing. I'm like, I did over 100,000 dials this year and talked to 6,000 people, only got 1 listing, and then 2 weeks later she canceled. So tell us what you think the real numbers are. And of course it depends on your area and the turnover rate, but
yeah. Well, even the area and the turnover rate, even in Lake Elsinore, the numbers were still astronomically high. I believe you have to make 100 dials to speak to, to get 6 contacts, 6% contact ratio. And I believe you have to get probably 1,000 contacts to get a bona fide appointment. So do the math, 60,000.
Then maybe 3 appointments to get one listing.
the thing is that this is the question that baffles me the most, because I know people want an answer, and you can't give the answer once you begin. It's a snowball effect. It's like saying to the bodybuilder, the pro bodybuilder, how did you get those abs?
The compound effect.
Yeah, which workout was it? And he's like, it was not.
It's a mixture of all of them.
It was not ab day on January 17th. That was the moment you have and this. If you do this workout on, it doesn't work like that. It's once you begin, beast mode prospecting, meaning you're out doing 100 contacts a day. It's once that changes, like for example, I can honestly say, how many doors does it take me to get a listing? Because when I moved to Yorba Linda with my talent, again, it has to do with talent and skill and tenacity. You could be
keeping records.
Different and keep records. So when I moved to Yorba Linda, I said, I'm going to keep a record on this because I need to know myself. I went out and started door knocking. I got my first listing on the 4,000 and some change door. But when I got that listing, as I'm knocking, I'm about 2,000 doors later. Somebody calls me and says, hey, James, you knocked on my door about 4 or 5 months ago. I'm interested in selling my house. So now I'm on door 6,000. I got one on 4,000th door, but now I got one on 6,000th door, but it was probably from door number 2,000. So which one is it? Is it now every 3,000 doors I get one, or is it every 4,000th door and I got lucky? The snowball effect makes it impossible to say what is the ROI on door knocking. The ROI on door knocking is you get a lot of leads,
right?
You work those leads effectively, and then you will. There's no answer. You can't answer that. And everyone.
Well, I think you can kind of answer that in a roundabout way, because first you have to do the activity. You have to get in front of people, belly to belly, face to face. Once they start seeing you over and over, they'll start recognizing you as the authority. I've seen it many a times on your Facebook Live where you knocking on the door, and as soon as they open the door, they said, ain't you James Festini? I see your van. You knocked my house a couple months ago, or my neighbor told me about you. It's the compound effect. You just start doing a little bit, and over time it's going to build up like a snowball effect, like you said, because those first few listings is going to be the hardest. But once you build up that momentum, it's going to come down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but then you can't say 300 contacts you get a listing. There's no math for it. It doesn't exist. It's going to be so many different variables to that I can't answer it.
If you don't prospect, you're not going to get a listing.
Yeah, I know the ROI. I know the ROI on not prospecting. I can give you that answer, but it works, And the only reason I know it works is because I'm still in the business, and the listing I just left. Mm-hmm. How did I get that? What is the ROI on this listing? I called him in, I'd say probably. God, it's almost a year. He said, no, maybe I'll sell in February. This was January. Let's say it was November of last year. I'd have to look and see because it's been a long time while I'm working on it.
Right.
He goes, no, I'm not really interested right now. Maybe later down the road. I'm like, okay, no problem. Maybe later. So I set him up in an email system. I set him up in a drip campaign. And then March or April, he reaches out to me. I mean, I'm calling him every once in a while saying, hey,
right.
No, not right now. The prices aren't that good. And then March or April, he calls me up and goes, I think I'm ready to talk about this, but you should see my house. It's kind of unique. I'm like, all right, no problem. I mean, I don't pre-qualify my listing appointments. I don't have enough to pre-qualify my listing. I just go. Okay, don't pre-qualify it. The only reason you pre-qualify is because you're calling too far. Otherwise, if you got to pre-qualify them and then you're in town, you need to get
I pre-qualify, but I still go to the house just so I can build a rapport. But I want to see where their mind's at.
Yeah,
that's why I pre-qualify.
I think if they're interested enough to let me come over, it all has to do with how you've set it up.
Right.
If you've been out there saying I do free CMAs, then you want to pre-qualify them because why their intention is. My script and my dialogue is very clear on my intention. It's
Right.
to go there and list the house. So my pre-qualification is in the conversation. It's like, well, when do you plan on selling? Well, if he's planning on selling in a month from now, great. I'd love to schedule an appointment. Why would I pre-qualify? I already know he's planning on selling in a month. End of story. Coming over. If he says I'm not selling for 6 months from now, but I'd like you to do, I'd like you to take a look. Well, then I never, it doesn't make
Excuse
sense.
me.
If they're interested, they're qualified. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they're not, then you will figure out that all they want is a free CMA. Then you're like, when do you want to sell? Well, we don't know if we can get the right price. Well, great. I'll send over information. And they say, well, the price isn't good. Maybe you should see the house. Then you come over. It's a circle. I don't get it. So you get there. He says, I'm kind of interested. If I would have called him and said, are you planning on the pre-qual script from, who? Are you planning on listing your house when I come over at that time? He would have said, no. No. So I would have lost him. And I would have canned him, and I would have deemed him not qualified based on the pre-qual script that is archaic. So I went over there. I go over there. His house was maybe $560. He goes, well, not right now. Market, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to sell my business. All right, no problem. Let's keep in touch. That was probably March. And as I'm keeping in touch, now we're October, middle of October, he calls me and goes, James, you know what? I'm seeing all your market information. It's been a while. The market looks like it's better. I think now we're ready. Okay, great. Come back out. I get back out there. For a reason, his house is now worth $650. His market reflected a better price. He's ready.
Right.
So I walk in there. I say, here's the price. I know your house. You guys, what do you guys think? They're like, I think we're ready. I said, well, let's sign the contract. And so I got.
Now, when you talk price, you also give them a net sheet to see, let them know what they're going to walk away from, or no?
Yeah. I usually
okay.
Right there and then. But yeah, we do. We sign up and then net sheet's just on my. And thank you very much. I still use that net sheet on the Excel spreadsheet that you made. Really has a really good one. But yeah, I use the Excel spreadsheet right there and then. Be like, here's how much you make. Sound good? Okay, great. Here's the price. Here's the terms. Contract signed. 6% from a cold call. $650,000.
You're the man.
From a cold call. Drops the mic. And it continues over and over. And I can honestly say that every dollar I make from Orange County since 2016, I've been here. It's probably got to be at least maybe 100 by now, because I'm still making money on the other side. I mean, I got a $1.4 million listing that hopefully will close by the end of the year. That'd be beautiful.
Yorba Linda or Lake Elsinore?
No, in Yorba Linda. From cold calling. I mean, it's all just. I mean, all of this stuff is from one place.
Now, I want everybody to understand, like, if you're a new agent or somebody is in a rut or something like that, you don't need a lot of money to get deals. You just need to prospect. If you got business cards or you make flyers, with your information, like I have like a little mini resume, make sure it's on good paper, not no black and white crap, and just go door knock,
Just hit the streets. Just hit the streets, man. You like I said, you either
hit the streets or the phones.
I have the magic bullet. You guys want the magic bullet? The silver bullet to selling lots and lots of real estate? The easiest one, the easy one?
Prospecting?
No, even better, man. You don't even have to prospect.
What's that?
Prospect. How much money you got?
Uh-oh, get in their pockets.
Because if you got, if you don't want to prospect, man, you got $100,000 budget to spend, you don't have to prospect. You don't. You want to drop, 100 grand?
And that's so true, because a lot of agents that I know, they just sign a check and they don't prospect. They just come in the office, do their follow-up calls, go to the listing appointment, sign the listing, put it on the board, and rinse and repeat. And they do not prospect.
You don't have to prospect. You have to have a
lot of money.
A lot of money. Like stupid money. And there's no guarantee either. That's the thing, too. Is if you're trial and error, split testing, you're going to be like trying landing pages. The cheese is going to move. 1 minute your algorithm says Facebook's going to give you all lots of leads, and then it's gone. 1 minute Craigslist ads are great. Now they're gone. It's home game. Now they're gone. The landing pages, now they're gone.
Right.
Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, now they're gone. Everything's gone, but the only thing that has stayed the same is the doors and the phones. Yes, the ratios for the telephone, or I wish I would have kept ratios back in 95, 99. I have a feeling, before the do not call list, that, maybe it was 20. No, I think the pickup ratios probably would have been.
I think the reason, one of the reasons why my pickup ratio is lower than your pickup ratio, because I don't contact. We have a lot of Spanish community that's moved in LA now, so I have a lot more Spanish speakers picking up the phone, and when they pick up the phone, I said, ¿Qué es vender su casa? Oh, no, we're not ready to sell. Then I'll count that as a contact. But if they say, oh, no, speaking English. Oh, no problemo. ¿Qué es vender su casa? Oh, no, we're not selling the casa. Nada, nada. I'm like, okay, I don't count that as a contact. But it's funny when they speak perfect English. Oh, hell no, I'm not selling my house.
That's fine. I speak fluent Spanish, and I don't even do the Spanish. I just won't do it. If it's anything that doesn't, answer in English, I put it on the do not call list. And that might be, the thing is that when you start the business, you establish a database that you're going to telemarket to. And once you get that database, it's gold. You don't add to it, and you don't take away from it. So you go out and you pay Cole, you pay RedX, you pay Mojo Lead Store, you pay, Telelisting USA. You buy your definitive phone book, merge the duplicates, and that is it. And it's 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, whatever it is. And then that's it. You don't go back and get more, because when you go back and get more, you're contaminating your list. And if you go through and dial all of your numbers and you sweep through that 50,000, now you're getting rid of the people who don't speak English, getting rid of the getting rid of the fax number, so that the next time you sweep around, now you maybe only have 40,000, but now your list is more pristine. If you go out and you grab numbers and you bring them back in, now you're going to be cleaning. You're constantly cleaning a dirty database. You keep that list and you chisel it away, so that the first time you sweep through, second time, and then finally you end up with a database of 30,000 phone numbers that will answer, and your pickup ratio will hit a stride and a plateau that you don't need to do that anymore.
And that's so right, because one thing I like about Mojo is, when you go through a call list, you can see every time you call them, if you make notes, you can see the notes. They'll email you and alert you if you set up a callback and you need to call back a certain client. And it just got so robust and is real good. But yeah, it's incredible how, like, you go through a list and somebody might pass away. The number might get disconnected. I say in my book, your database is a living, breathing machine, because you have to stay on top of it, because you constantly have to update it.
Right.
So I know you have to go bike riding in a minute. Stay healthy. So just give us a review. Tell us what you think that we should have talked about, or what agents need to do to make money in this fourth quarter and for years to come from the master.
The time will come where you won't be able to do what we do right now. Disruption is coming.
I see it too.
There will come a time where someone will drive by a house, hold their phone up, and get a virtual tour right there. It's already there. I mean, Google Glass was starting to launch some of that. It's just an overlay. I mean, our MLS already has it, where you can do this and see the houses. So you can walk. There's going to come a time where every homeowner will name their price. You know what I mean? And you'll be like, what is the price? And you will be able to click a button, do the iris scan, and it'll say, buy now. There will come, that is at least 10 years away. At least 10 years away before someone holds up their phone and taps to buy now. Just because
if it's called a phone back up later on.
It's an implant, right? You press the line, cancel. It's all implant. But that, I would say, is about 10 years away. There will be, just like the Uber, there will be taxi drivers, that they will still exist. But in suburban America, it won't be there anymore. You'll have all of the disclosures, and the disclosures will be like one scrolling thing that will have like red highlights, and it's like, is this house crap? Swipe left, right. You know, it'll just be so much more sophisticated, and at the click of a button, where our function will only be to
real estate Uber driver.
I can't even imagine what our function will be, right? I mean, it will be like, you know, there'll be an option. Do you ever want to meet the seller? No. I don't like people. I like being in my bubble. I'll check here. You'll never have to talk to them again. Then that eliminates us, because all we act as right now is the mouthpiece that puts the two together. And if the escrow
and the negotiation for the deal.
And negotiation is what? I mean, you don't negotiate on eBay. You either buy now or you don't. You don't negotiate on Amazon. You either buy now or no. So our function.
But that's not a house.
It's still an object. It's just,
right.
It's just more expensive. Doesn't mean that there is. I mean, it's sad to say, but, and I even say, when I'm hired by a seller, a lot of people want to say my negotiation skills. That's what you pay for. I don't believe I negotiate. I lay out a price, and there are terms, and any variation on that price or terms based on what my seller wants, that's it. So when another agent, let's say I got this $650,000 listing, an agent makes an offer for $640,000. I go to the seller and I say, do you want it? And they say, no. I go back to the agent and I say, no. That's not negotiating. It's not like, hey, man, let me tell you about this fantastic. It is what it is. And it's so cut and dry that the negotiation, I mean, it's not as if I call the agent and say, hey, man, because the communication between me and the agent is like, hey, man, did you guys tell them about this fantastic situation? And there's no.
I think the real negotiation is when you have an accepted contract, because like when I list a property, I asked the seller, I was like, if we get any lowball offers, you know, I would suggest, I would suggest to have the buyer's agent come up with full price offer, or I don't disturb you with it, unless you want me to disturb you with all.
That's not a negotiation. And presenting them the options that will get them what they want. And so a lot of times negotiating with the seller, I say to him, do you want $650? No. Well, here's the net sheet. Would you take, or you want $640? Here's the net sheet. Would you do $645? He's like, maybe. I say, okay. Counter offer. Here's the counter offer. Here are the terms. I think more of what I do and where my skill lies is in maneuvering through the obstacle course that is the transaction. Seeing things that don't look right and getting a sense, like that $1 million listing that I got right now. It's contingent, all sorts of weird things. But I have a certain gut and interpretation where there's a certain time where I've got to do something and I know how to do it, where most agents might, like the agent on the other side, I think he's kind of soft. And so I
might have to babysit them a little bit.
Babysit them and maneuver through the contract and let them know here's how it's going to be. So a lot of
because you have experience maneuvering through those landmines of the contract, and you see stuff that's going to come up that you'll resolve before it's even an issue. Right.
So when you say that our function will exist in an internet age 10 years from now, where we will be, you know, it's going to be cut and dry. Do you want to pay your price just like Amazon? Here's the disclosure, just like eBay. My screen has one crack on the side. Is this okay? And you say, you click a button. You got 72 hours. Click a button. You want an inspector. We got an inspector on call. You want to have them check it out? Yes. Click this button. Do you like what it is? Do you have any questions? I mean, everything that we exist can be a click of a button to say, do you want to ask them to fix this? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? And the seller receives it, is like, honey, there's no, reject, accept. All of these things don't require a mouthpiece. And then, you know, you got 72 hours, 48 hours to like back and forth. You get an alert. You want it still? You want to give more time? Extend the time. You don't want more time? Deal over it. Do you want to cancel this? Click now. Yes, no, accept. Boom. When do you want to do it? Schedule on the calendar. I mean, when do you want them? Yeah. We can definitely be deleted. Our function can be deleted once the process of disclosure is streamlined. With the process of negotiation, you don't negotiate with Amazon, you don't negotiate with eBay, so don't say that we represent a negotiation, because it doesn't exist.
So,
it's an eBay.
So you made up several good points. So in your example, well, let me back up. My father was a Marine, and he always told me, Jason, well, that's my middle name, always look for the worst case scenario. So if you see the worst case scenario, you be prepared for it. So I see what you see. I see that we have an expiration date coming. So this is my business model, and I kind of name it the evolution of a real estate agent. You're going to have to work your butt off, get some transactions, and build a business. And with that, with the money coming in from your transactions, your sales in real estate, buy investment property, so that way you can have some income coming in, and maybe diversify. But the main thing is buy investment property. So if something ever happens where I get hurt, or the expiration date of our real estate career expires, I still have investment property, because everybody's going to still need to have a place to stay, and they're going to need to pay rent. Right. So that is my business plan, my escape. So what is your business model for, the end is coming, how to prepare for it?
That's part of the reason why I'm so extremely tenacious right now, is because I know it's coming. The reason I did leave Lake Elsinore is because even doing 50, 60 sides a year, you could never get ahead. You know what I mean? It was just enough. Like couldn't
break through that glass ceiling.
You couldn't break through the glass ceiling, because it just wasn't enough coming in for the lifestyle that I want. I mean, I still enjoy my lifestyle. I love travel. I love, I love spending time on I enjoy life. I'm squeezing it out. But that's why I moved out to this territory, is because I triple my paycheck as these things, as the gears start, leveling off, as I start closing some of these fat checks, I'm able to take chunks of that. And yeah, my exit plan is to pick up some investment properties, probably in Lake Elsinore, because it's still affordable there.
Right.
But, pick up some and sock away, some of that chunk of money. And ideally, a couple complexes, like 4 on a lot, or small apartments, or who knows what the future brings, man.
Triplexes, duplexes.
I want to get some fat money. I'm still not at a breathing room place. I'm not where I've never been there. That's the problem with this industry, is no matter how much you make, you never feel like it's enough to say, okay, now let me see what else I can do. So I can't answer the question, because I know what I would do. I'll know when it comes.
Right.
Like, okay, let's say I make, I have a $500,000 a year, and I sock away $200,000 in the bank. What do I want to do with that? What can you do with $200,000 in this day and age? It's probably not much.
Not much.
Can you pick up
buy some property in Palmdale, Lancaster?
Yeah, Palmdale, Lancaster. You buy it cash, and then you rent it out for $700 a month, and now it's just like, what, you're making $700 a month, in profit. Is that enough to retire? No. So how many of those do you need? For maintenance. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the mystery. And so I continue to create. I have other options in my life where where they say follow your passion. My passion is not real estate. My talent lies in this aggressive,
industry
against other people. But my skill and my tenacity in generating leads is where I'm very skilled at it, and I'm skilled at the real estate game. But if money was no object, real estate would not be my option. It would be, art and poetry, and but I'd probably be dead if I had money, no object. I think someone's watching out for me to make sure I'm not wealthy, because I would probably it would be bad. You know what I mean? I'm in a good place right now where, Yeah, it would be like Jimi Hendrix or Jim Morrison or Janis Joplin, where I would just do something in an excess and that'd be it.
Right. Well, hey, James, it was wonderful talking to you. So, how can everybody contact you and get to know more about you and maybe talk to you?
YouTube. Everything's on YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah, I've got so many outlets right now that I'm 100% focused on YouTube. Go to YouTube.
And I'll put the link to your YouTube channel below.
Yeah. Just go to YouTube and search James Festini, and then I've got hundreds of I think 350 videos, all on the topic of sales for the most part. I do have a daily blog, but it's also on there. And whatever topic you have the question.
And a podcast, Your First Day in Real Estate.
Yep, it's there too. But if you want to reach me, I'm watching the YouTube messages very closely.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, James, it was my honor to interview the beast himself. And hey, it was great talking to you. You have a good one, good sir.
Take care, man.